In a small town tucked away in the heart of America, a local biker gang known as the Iron Wolves prided themselves on their reputation. Known for their rowdy behavior and reckless stunts, they controlled the roads and the bars. The gang had earned their fearsome name through years of intimidation, never hesitating to challenge anyone who dared cross their path. One night, the gang rolled into the only bar in town. The air was thick with the smell of whiskey and cigarette smoke as they swaggered through the doors, their loud laughter echoing across the dimly lit room. They took over the corner booth, cracking open beers and puffing on cigars, while the few patrons looked on nervously. But then the door swung open again. This time, it wasn't the usual clientele. A man in his mid-30s walked in, clad in a simple leather jacket with a faded insignia of the Search and Rescue Unit on his shoulder. His name was Staff Sergeant Jack Malone. His military cut was still sharp, and there was an aura about him calm, composed, but dangerous. He wasn't here for trouble, but he wasn't one to back down either. Jack made his way to the bar, ordered a water, and sat down on the far side, away from the gang. He didn't need to cause a scene, but he wasn't afraid of the wolves either. He had spent the past decade rescuing people from wrecks, floods, and disasters. His unit had pulled survivors from the wreckage of hurricanes and earthquakes, and he'd faced danger countless times. There wasn't a lot that could rattle him, and a group of reckless bikers wasn't going to start. It didn't take long for the wolves to notice him. One of them, a bulky man named Vince Hammer Harper, got up and swaggered over. His face was etched with a permanent sneer, and his massive arms were covered in tattoos of skulls and flames. He leaned on the bar next to Jack and said, "Never seen you around here, soldier. What's a guy like you doing in a place like this?" "This is our turf." Jack looked up, sizing the man up, then gave a faint smile. "Just passing through. I'm not looking for trouble." Vince wasn't satisfied with the response. "You don't get to just sit here without paying the price, soldier. How about you buy a round for the crew?" Jack didn't respond immediately. He was used to people testing him, but he also knew when a situation was escalating. "I don't think I need to buy drinks for your crew, Vince." The words hung in the air, and the room fell silent as tension built. A few of the other bikers stood up, sensing that something was about to go down. Vince wasn't the kind of guy to let things go, though. With a snarl, he grabbed Jack's shoulder, spinning him around to face him. "You got a lot of nerve, soldier," he growled, his face inches from Jack's. Without a moment's hesitation, Jack's reflexes kicked in. He twisted out of Vince's grip, using the man's own force against him. In a flash, Jack's hand moved to Vince's throat, pushing him against the bar with an icy calm. The rest of the bikers froze, unsure of what to do. Jack's voice was low, but deadly serious. "I've saved more lives than you've stolen in your entire life, Vince. Don't make this a mistake you'll regret." The bar was still, everyone waiting for the next move. Jack wasn't throwing punches or screaming, but the quiet intensity of the moment spoke volumes. Vince finally understood that Jack wasn't the type to back down, nor was he intimidated by their numbers. He stared into Jack's eyes, a battle of wills. The bikers could sense the shift. This wasn't a regular confrontation. Jack wasn't just a soldier. He was a man of principle and strength, someone who had stared down death too many times to be cowed by a bully. After what felt like an eternity, Vince let out a long breath. He pulled away from Jack's grip, glaring, but there was a newfound respect in his eyes. He waved his hand dismissively. "All right, soldier, you're not what I thought." The bikers slowly sat back down, murmuring among themselves. Jack returned to his seat, finishing his water without another word. The wolves would never forget the night they tangled with the wrong man. Jack didn't need to prove himself with fists. He proved himself with his composure, his quiet strength, and his ability to stand tall even when the odds were stacked against him. And from that night forward, the Iron Wolves knew better than to mess with a soldier who had been through hell and back. The rest of the town would always remember the story of how a simple man in a faded leather jacket had taught a gang of hardened bikers that some battles are won without lifting a finger.